You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hi, I'm Joe Heath.
I'm Toni Heath.
And this is the Watch-A-Thon of Rassilon. Hey, guess what?
What?
We did it.
We did it?
We did it.
Should we be talking about that on the podcast?
Are you logged into this on two different tabs?
It's possible.
There's an anonymous squirrel and an anonymous kraken.
I'm the Kraken.
Today we're going to be talking about the fourth and final serial of the 26th and final season of Doctor Who. The final serial of this whole damn show. Survival, which consists of 3 episodes that aired from November 22nd, 1989 to December 6th, 1989. Joe Facts! And I want to give a special shout out to Matt Golden for sponsoring this episode.
Hey, thanks, Matt.
Golden! You can check them out at mattgolden.xyz or Z if you're into that.
I am not.
So, we did it. We finished Doctor Who. Classic Doctor Who, the series.
I truly threatened to not watch the final episode so that it could go on forever.
I mean, it's still going on.
But I did watch it.
I want to say something that I think is very interesting, which is that we've basically watched all of televised Doctor Who. True, there's still like a couple of things that we haven't watched that kind of count, like Dimensions in Time. I don't think Scream of the Shocker counts, but, you know, we still have that. But we've watched all of televised Doctor Who on one day. And then the following day, we did it again. Because we watched Legend of the Sea Devils. So we got caught up on New Who.
Boy, did we.
Boy.
If we keep doing this podcast, we're going to have to watch Legend of the Sea Devils again.
God damn it.
I barely watched it the first time, and it was painful.
Yeah. I'm wondering, when we do get to that era, when we get to Flux, do we do one episode for Flux? Or do we do each individual?
Because it's a series.
Because it's a 6-part series, yeah.
Yes, we do one episode.
So we can just get through it faster. Yeah, Legends of the Sea Devils, it sucked. It sucked.
I've never seen, like, the puppet warp distortion that they had going on.
Yeah, it was bad. It was terrible. It had terrible effects. Honestly, the plot was fine. It was just the way that they told the plot was really bad.
It was boring. Everything just happens.
And all of the dialogue was just exposition. It was either like explaining what was happening in the plot so much that I stopped listening and missed what the plot was. Because it was just boring exposition. Or it was the Doctor just naming things in the room. There were so many scenes where she just walks into a room and goes, "Oh, look, it's the flibble flablets. When you flick them upside down, they go blah, 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 blah." That's all she said. She just technobabble and exposition. And then a little bit of gay content at the end. Not enough.
Not enough. Could have been more.
Let's talk about good Doctor Who. Because the serial's good.
Serial, yes. The serial is pretty good. And gay content.
Gay content. That's true.
It's got that good gay content.
And unlike Chibnall, it was intended when it was being written. I think Chibnall didn't plan on Yaz and 13 having a romance.
No, I think fans kind of were like, yes. And Chibnall was like, okay.
Yeah, sure, I'll put that in, I guess. But yeah, the writer of this, what's her name? Runro? That's not right. It's not Runro. Runro? Rona Munro. This episode was written by
That's a great name.
Rona Munro. Yeah, it's a really cool name. She definitely purposely put lesbian subtext in it, and she's also the only classic Doctor Who writer who went on to write for New Who. She wrote The Eaters of Light, which Toni doesn't remember, so...
That's not a knock against it. My memory is terrible.
It's the one with, like, there's like,
Eaters of Light.
Eaters of Light, yeah, that's what happens.
Is there any gay subtext?
It's one with Bill and Nardole.
Oh, so there might just be gay text.
Yeah, I think there is just gay text.
Nice. What a time. That has to feel good. To, like, intentionally write...
Oh, it's the one that ends with, like, there's a character named Kar, K-A-R, and then, like, they teach the crows to say her name. So, like, they say it forever. So it's Kar.
That's kind of dumb.
It's a little dumb, but I remember it being kind of cute. I think there's, like, a thing in a cave. I don't super remember it.
Could you imagine, though, like, putting lesbian subtext into Doctor Who in the 80s and then getting to write, like...
An actual gay character?
An actual lesbian?
Yeah.
That had to have felt good.
I bet it did. But yeah, let's talk about survival. Let's dive into Rona Munro's survival. Episode 1, which I've called Cheetahs Never Prosper. Hey, there's cheetahs in this.
Do they prosper?
No, they don't prosper. Actually, their whole planet's falling the fuck apart, but we'll get there. So the first thing we do is we start off, and guess where we're at? We're in Perryvale, which is actually filmed in Perryvale.
Really?
Yeah, and Rona Munro thought it was going to be rougher than it actually was, based on what had been said in the series. And then she got there, and he's like, oh, it's just kind of a small town. But I remember, like every serial we watched this season, I've been like, this feels like it could be a finale. Because I was like, especially like with Curse of Fenric. Because Curse of Fenric felt like Ace did all of the character development she needed to do, right?
Right.
Especially with that, she dealt with her mom. She's already dealt with, like, the stuff in Ghostlight.
She defeated all those werewolves.
Vampires. She defeated, and she took care of her past with Ghostlight. She took care of her mom, and she did that little dip in the ocean. It's like, she's there. So I was like, I don't know what they're going to do in this. But, like, going to Perryvale makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's like going back to her home and seeing all her friends and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. Though Rona Munro said that she kind of wished she'd known it was going to be the last episode because she would have written it a little differently to be more of like a swan song than just...
What do you mean? They got that whole dubbed in bit at the end.
Yeah, that's written by... that bit was written by Andrew Cartmel. She was like not available to write, so but we'll get there too. Let's start with what happens. We're in Perryville. There's this guy washing his car. His name's Dave. We only know that because his mom yells it. He's washing his car while being watched by an evil cat puppet.
I do feel like listeners need to know that immediately I was like, I'm on the side of this cat. I'm not convinced that this cat is evil, and if it is evil, it probably has good reasons.
It's a black cat. Looks like our cat, Midnight. It just opens its mouth and hisses and has glowing yellow eyes. And it doesn't...
Little fangs.
Yeah, and it doesn't... It looks like a puppet. They got this guy who had done a dog puppet on another show before, and the dog looked really good, so they're like, oh, this will be good. And then the guy who made it was like, the thing with dogs is you can stick your whole hand in the puppet. You can stick your whole hand in it because the skull is bigger. So you can go blah, 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 and manipulate it to make it look more like a dog. But the cat's skull is so much smaller, you can't really fit your hand in there. So they had to like do animatronics, and it just looks clunkier. On the documentary, the guy who made the puppet was talking about, like, people have probably seen in the U.S. Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and like they had a much bigger budget than we did, and it still looks like shit. So I think we did as good as we could. It does look an awful lot like Salem, but more evil than Salem somehow. But
I think it's the big fangs.
Yeah, it's probably the big fangs. And then it's watching this guy clean his car, and then we get this like shot that reminds me a lot of like the woman being chased at the beginning of Ghostbusters, the librarian. It's just a POV shot as it like something lifts high up into the air and then chases this guy down the street, and then just a flash of white light happens and he disappears. Where, we don't know. I assumed he was dead, but I was wrong. I mean, he's dead later, but I thought this effect killed him.
You thought the wipe killed him?
Yeah, it didn't. The cat jumps down off of this car. Right where the cat like runs off, the TARDIS appears, which is a nice shot. There's a lot of good camera work and cinematography in this one. Yeah, I'm using a big word. The Doctor and Ace come out, and that's when Ace says that it's Perryville. They're there on a Sunday when there's nothing good on TV, which makes me wonder if Doctor Who aired on Sundays. Ace has a tie for a belt.
It's a good look.
It's a good look. Is it always been there, or is it just this episode?
It's the first time I've ever noticed it, but that's not saying anything.
Yeah, she wears that jacket a lot, so it might have just been covering it up. She was basically like wondering what was going on with her old gang, and the Doctor's like, well, let's go find out. And then she's kind of like, oh, well, I didn't really want to come here. I could have just called them. But they go looking for them on this hill where they normally hang out, but there's nobody there. There's just a big old horse print. That'll become important later.
Because there's going to be a horse.
There's going to be a horse, of course. Then we see the cat watching these kids play soccer or football, whatever you want to call it. And we see through the cat's eyes, and there's a yellow filter on it. But then we see that something is watching these kids through the cat. I think we're not supposed to know who it is.
I do, though. I know that fucker.
His face is like hidden in shadow, but you only see his eyes. And it's
the Master.
It's the Master. It's Anthony Ainley.
Who, gosh, we hadn't seen in, what was the last serial he was in?
It has to be the Sixth Doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that one with the Ronnie?
Wow.
I'm not sure. And it'll be the second to last time he ever played the Master before he passed away. He played him in a video game.
Really?
Yeah, called Destiny of the Doctors, I think is what it's called. But yeah, it's definitely the Master. We'll see more about him later. The Doctor and Ace go to a youth club where everyone also hung out, apparently. But it appears to be completely empty, other than a poster of Cats, the musical.
And a wrestling team?
To be fair, it's a self-defense class.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I put wrestling thing in my notes because they're wrestling. But it's a self-defense class taught by this guy, Sergeant Patterson. Or Paterson? Patterson.
Here's the thing you have to know about this character.
He's a dick.
He's the fucking worst, and he just exists to be the fucking worst, and that's it.
There was a bit while we were watching it where I was like, oh, I think he's going to be a good guy. Because I missed what he said at the beginning because I was writing a note. And I tuned in only when he was like checking in on that one kid to make sure he was okay. Like, he's like, you all right? You sure you're all right? But then he's like, I missed the bits right before it where he was being a dick.
Where he was like, slam his head into the ground.
Yeah, I did miss that. And then rewatching it, I was like, oh man, I hope nobody watching the live stream thinks I was like, yeah, that guy's a good guy.
I mean, I was there and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because I missed all that dialogue. I only heard him checking in on the kid. But yeah, he's an asshole. He's going on and on about survival of the fittest, the law of the jungle.
Using it incorrectly.
So what is survival of the fittest?
Survival of the fittest is like, it's not physical fitness.
Right.
It's being like fit
for
your environment. Like, it's more like the most adapted, you know?
There's a really good metaphorical scene about that's coming up that I think is interesting. That I didn't catch until I read TARDIS Hereditorum. There's a bit where, like, he's talking to Ace, he's talking to the Doctor. He recognizes Ace and is like, realizes, you know, that she was a troublemaker. But there's a bit where he just grabs the Doctor by the shoulder and, like, whips him around and is... For no reason?
I was going to say, the thing he says isn't, like, threatening. It's, like, friendly.
It's something along the lines of, oh, I wouldn't want to be that age again, would you? Something like that.
Why were you so aggressive about that? Don't put your hands on people. Hey, don't put your hands on people.
That is a very good lesson.
For some reason, that's the thing some people just don't know.
So Patterson tells Ace that multiple kids have gone missing, so that's why she can't find any of her friends. And he's also like, you know, you also went missing. Your mom put up missing posters all over the place, so maybe they just did the same thing you did.
Well, the implication, too, it seems to be that, like, these kids just ran away.
Yeah, because this place is a dump.
Yeah, but it is very interesting that, like, no one cares. All these kids are missing, and it's like, well, yeah, it sucks here, so they left.
Right.
And they're rude for doing so.
Speaking of rude, Patterson tells the Doctor, when he hears that he is a doctor, he's like, oh, well, you don't look to be in great shape for a doctor. You should come by my class. Rude. Rude.
Just like Bart.
And then the Doctor's like, I need to see a man about a cat. Because he's been staring at this cat that's going around. Then the Master sees the Doctor through the cat. And as the Doctor is leaving, Patterson says, One finger can be a deadly weapon, which sets up a thing. There was supposed to be a line after that where Ace makes a sex joke about that they had to cut out.
What was the joke?
I think it was along the lines of, there's a lot I could say about that, but I won't, was the joke.
I see.
And John Nathan Turner was like, no.
This is a kid's show.
On all the making ofs, all the writers just are like, we would write these things, and then John Nathan Turner would be like, this is a kid's show, right? And like, he was very prudish. And they also talked about how he's very worried about putting like I think they did sneak the gay subtext past John Nathan Turner. I don't think he would have allowed it, despite being gay himself. So, but he was very paranoid about all that kind of stuff. No shenanigans in Doctor Who. So then the Doctor goes into a convenience store, or grocery store, I guess, ran by a comedy duo. Literally, these guys are apparently from a famous sketch show.
Told me that whole scene made a lot more sense.
Apparently, right before filming, they swapped roles.
Really?
Yeah, they just decided at the last minute, I want to do the other character, so they swapped roles.
Without that knowledge, that scene is truly bizarre.
This scene, it does do something. This is the scene I was telling you about that's metaphorical that I didn't think about. So, they're talking about how they have to work on a Sunday. They have to work on a Sunday because every other place is working on a Sunday. And if they didn't work on a Sunday, they'd lose business. And it's survival of the fittest and the law of the jungle, right? Then the Doctor asks about cat food. They start recommending all these different varieties of cat food, which, if I'm remembering what was said in TARDIS Hereditorum, is just pointing out how survival of the fittest is bullshit. Because there's all these different brands and they're all...
the best?
Yeah, they're all the best. There isn't one that's come out on top. There's 50 different brands of cat food. And then the Doctor goes to get cheese instead. And then while he's looking for cheese, one of the guys starts telling the other grocer about this joke. The other guy's not getting it at all, the entire joke. But the joke is, there's two guys camping, right? They're out in the jungle. They hear a lion. One of them starts putting on his shoes. And he's like, you can't outrun a lion. And he's like, I don't have to outrun the lion. And then the other guy's like, I don't get it. And then the Doctor says, he doesn't have to outrun the lion. He only has to outrun his friend. Which is a joke I'm pretty sure everyone's heard. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, survival of the fittest, law of the jungle. That is this serial's catchphrase. And he's like, but what about the next lion? And they're like, what next lion? And he points at the shelf and the cat jumps out of the cat food. And the Doctor leaves without paying. The Doctor's like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. And then one of the grocers comes out and goes, hey, are you forgetting something? He's like, yes. And he's like, give me money. And he's like, no, that's not it. And then for some reason, Ace has won a lot of money. So she pays with that, I guess. Because she had went to go to this other place where her gang could have been, but they weren't. But there were gambling machines that were rigged that she got some money off of. Convenient. The two guys who own the grocery store, they have a cat at the store and they find it in the back room, mutilated. There is a deleted scene where it's way more mutilated.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It's gross. But it's apparently been killed by that other cat. Then Ace does finally meet one of her friends, Ange, who's only in this scene.
Yeah, I kind of thought she would come back.
No, she's just there to tell Ace that everybody's disappeared. She's on the side of the street. She's collecting money to stop fox hunting. It says hunt saboteurs on it, and apparently saboteurs is fox hunters. I didn't know that, which makes this whole scene that happened where I was like, what is the Doctor talking about? Makes so much more sense. Basically, Ange's all these people have disappeared. They've just left. You left. This guy named Darth Vader left.
It was named Darth Vader. Somebody married Darth, and they just say Darth first. And she's like, no way. So-and-so married Darth Vader?
And then the Doctor comes back, and he's wandering around muttering to himself. And there was also another deleted thing where he was supposed to put a coin, one of those big coins, into her can, and it wouldn't go in. And he just pushes it with one finger, which was apparently supposed to be another one finger can be a deadly weapon setup. Okay. He does put the money in the can, and then he starts talking about hunting. And when I was watching this, I didn't know what her can meant. So I just thought he was just talking about hunting for no reason whatsoever, out of the blue, because he's like, it's not very sporting, is it? That's not how you should hunt a thing. You should stalk your prey and da-da-da-da-da. Oh, there's also a bit where, I love this joke. He's like, do you smell that? And Ange goes, no, hay fever.
Because it's you?
Yeah.
Joe does not have a sense of smell.
I don't.
Whatsoever. It's continually very frustrating.
It was especially frightening during this pandemic. When that is one of the side effects, is you can't smell anything. I'm like, well, what's the fucking difference? The doctor wanders away and says, mutters to himself, when is a cat not a cat? When it builds its own cat flap. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? But it's true. That is what happens. This cereal was almost called Cat Flap.
I have a lot of feelings about that. Okay, really I only have two. Which is one, I love imagining the final episode of Doctor Who for years and years and years and years being Cat Flap.
15 years.
15 years. The final episode of Doctor Who is Cat Flap. And two, it's a pretty good name.
It is.
Like,
it's accurate.
When you said that it was almost called Cat Flap, I was like, oh, I understand the portals makes more sense. It feels more like a thing.
Yeah.
Than, these cat people just having the ability to, jump universes. It's like, oh.
It's a cat flap.
They can make their own cat flap. Okay, that's a thing.
Right. I think there was another title for it at one point. Cat Flap, Blood Hunt, and The Survival.
The Survival.
Yeah. Blood Hunt's not bad. I honestly think Cat Flap's the best title out of those, though. I kind of think it would have been awesome if the last episode was just called Cat Flap. But I think they got some, flack, before the Happiness Patrol came out. Everyone was, slamming it,
For
in
being
advance.
called the Happiness Patrol?
Yeah, because they're all like, oh, it's going to be camp nonsense.
Do they know that they're watching Doctor Who? What are you here for if not camp nonsense?
To be fair, that one's not very camp nonsense. I mean, it does have a big candy man, but... Anyway, the doctor is like, I need bait. I need to set up a trap. Meanwhile, the cat does the cat flap trick to a jogger that's wandering around. And then the doctor proceeds to set up his trap, which he's just putting out some cat food while Ace is talking to the doctor, and the doctor is 100% not listening to her. She's talking about her life here and stuff, and he doesn't care. He's busy. So she just wanders off.
I think the doctor seems very bored. And Ace keeps being like, if you are bored, you can just go back to the TARDIS. And he's like, no, it's fine. I'll find something. It's fine. But he's 100% just very bored.
Until he finds the cat, and then he's focused. Because he puts out this food, he's setting up this trap, and he goes into somebody's yard, and he's watching through the gate. Another cat comes up, and he's like, get away, cat, you're not the cat I'm looking for. And the woman who owns the house, he's on her property, and she knocks on the window and is just like, what are you doing? He's like, shh, and then goes back to looking. He also, a dog comes up at one point. I was very excited to see a dog in this episode of Cats as well, so. But he's also very annoyed about the dog. Meanwhile, he's set up this trap for the cat, and Ace happens to find the cat in a playground. She just straight up picks the cat up and takes it to a swing. You cannot do that with a stray cat.
I know, because I've tried very hard.
It does, in fact, run off, but not right away. Not like a real cat would. But it runs off, and then we get that camera angle where it's behind her, and it just shoots up into the air. And then she turns around and we finally see what it is. And it's a cheetah on a horse. Rearing up on the horse. You know what I love about this?
It's a cheetah on a horse?
Yes. But we've had that scene twice now where we've seen this scene happen, but without the cheetah. We only see the POV. And it's two guys who run away immediately and get zapped. When this happens to Ace, Ace smiles and says, wow. And then runs when she realizes she's in danger. But for a full shot, she's just like, this is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This almost was not a cheetah on a horse. When it was written, the writer did not want them to be big fluffy cheetahs. They were supposed to just be people with, like, the cat eyes and fangs, and the way they moved would be very cat-like. But they weren't going to be in full furry costumes. But John Nathan Turner was like, no, we gotta have monsters. We gotta have a Doctor Who monster. And she was like really worried that was going to cover up the lesbian subtext that happens later. So you've gotten rid of my lesbian subtext by burying it in a fursuit.
Now it's just furry lesbian subtext. That's okay.
That's fine. And I don't know if I agree with her because I really like the cheetahs.
It is a pretty good design.
You know who didn't like the cheetahs?
Who?
The cheetahs.
Oh, I bet. Fursuits are no joke.
Also, like, the cheetahs are not in Perryville. Like, they're mostly on their own planet, which is like a desert. It was like 100-degree heat. Oof. And, like, they're in these big, thick fursuits. And one of them just stripped to their underwear, and she just left. And, like, the Sylvester McCoy is, like, telling the story. And, like, multiple people mention it, that, like, someone just took off all of their clothes and left and never came back. But Sylvester McCoy is a little gross about it. He's like, she took it off and she was wearing nothing but a G-string. And she just walked away, and it was the most... And he was talking about how it was a beautiful sight to watch.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, he's kind of a horn dog. I think all of the doctors kind of are. In any interview, they always say some sort of, like, borderline or just straight up sexist joke. Like, every interview I've heard with most of the doctors.
They are all old.
They are all old, yes. Anyway, there's a cheetah on a horse, and Ace tries to...
And it's rad as hell.
It is rad as hell. And it chases Ace.
Chases Ace.
There's an Ace chase. It chases Ace through this playground as Ace runs up a slide.
I would like to know the strategy here of getting away from something by continually climbing up and then climbing back down different pieces of playground equipment.
I think she's just trying to put distance and, like, because, like, if she just went out...
She climbs up a slide and then goes down the slide.
Yeah.
Why?
Visual flair? I don't know. I will say there is a cool shot where it's like on close up on the horse's legs moving, and then it perfectly cuts to Ace's legs moving at the same exact speed, and like it's like a perfect match cut, and it's like that's some cinematography. Mwah. But then the doctor hears Ace yelling and comes to the playground, but he doesn't get there in time because Ace gets zapped before he gets there. She arrives on a planet, a desert planet with a pink sky, and she finds that guy who was washing his car. He's dead, holding his sponge. He held on to that sponge the whole time as he died, and the cats are eating him. And then she gets chased again by the cheetah. So the doctor continues to look for the cat. He almost gets the cat, and just as he's about to grab the cat, Patterson grabs him. The doctor's like, what are you doing? Why are you grabbing me? And he's like, I'm on the neighborhood watch, and a bunch of people said there was a creepy guy wandering around their yards. But the doctor knocks him out with one deadly finger. He just pushes his finger into his forehead, and he falls down. And the doctor's like, one finger can be a deadly weapon, and runs off. This neighborhood watch explanation almost didn't need to be explained. He was originally going to be a police officer.
Oh, why wasn't he?
The John Nathan Turner didn't want to have, like, negative
portrayals of police officers?
Yeah. It sounds like Rona Monroe is rad as hell. Ace is running away from this cheetah, and then that second guy who got zapped, the jogger, distracts the cheetah, who attacks him, knocks Ace over to get to him, and then rides off with the dead jogger on her horse, and Ace is left alone. But then she meets one of her friends, Shrila, who is Asian. She's specifically written to be Asian as well, so... Because Rona Monroe wanted some diversity up in this show. Again, she sounds rad as hell. She meets Shrila. Shrila takes her into the woods where another one of her friends, Midge, is, and another guy named Derek. Midge is an asshole. He's like... We've been watching this show called Dimension 20. There's a character named Cody on there. And this character is Cody if Cody was...
Not played by Murph?
Not played by Murph. Yeah, there you go. He's a mall goth. That's what this guy is. But he's a huge asshole. In Perryville, the doctor climbs up on a wall and is on all fours crawling across the top of this like garden gate trying to get this cat. And Patterson grabs him and the cat jumps off the wall, Patterson pulls the doctor off the wall, and they all get zapped to the cat planet.
You won't get zapped to the cat planet.
The cat planet doesn't have a name, by the way. It's never named. It's just the cat planet, the cheetah planet, whatever you want to call it. They get zapped there. They immediately see a cheetah rolling around, hissing at them. They get up. They're walking through all these cheetahs, and they get to a tent. And they open the tent, and guess who's there?
Who is it?
It's the master. And he's like, why, doctor? And, like, his eyes turn into cat eyes. But I think he just said his next line, and they didn't want him to do that. They wanted to pause there so his eyes could change, and they, like, freeze frame half of his face.
I did not notice this when we were watching. You sent it to me afterwards when you were making GIFs, and I don't know how I didn't notice it.
The top half of his head is perfectly still as his eyes change color, and the bottom half of his face is just like, just sliding back and forth. And anyway, that's the cliffhanger. It's the end of episode 1.
I would like to take this moment to say now that I did not realize at the time that this is a 3-parter. I was absolutely distraught when we reached the end of the second one, and you were like, are you ready to watch the last episode of Classic Who? And I was like, no!
I'm glad I at least got you before we watched the last episode. Because it would have sucked if we finished the 3rd episode and you were like, all right, play the last one. I don't know what they're going to... Like, I feel like they wrapped everything up.
They already wrapped the whole thing up.
But we're now into episode 2, which I have called The Catster Plan.
How come you waited until the last ever serial to come up with good episode titles?
I come up with good episode titles all the time, thank you.
Okay.
All the time. Ace watches as some cats. Like, I'm going to call the cats. There are black cats.
There are black cats, and the black cats, I feel like, are like vultures, right?
Mm.
That's kind of their deal. They just eat the carcasses.
They're called kittlings.
They're called kittlings, and that's adorable.
I think they also lure the prey, maybe.
But I think they kind of, like, feed off of...
leftovers.
Yeah. But that just means that there's lots of, like, little black kitties all around the cereal.
So, I'm never going to call the cheetahs cats so that we don't get confused.
Okay. You could just use the word kittlings.
I could use the word kittlings. Okay, so there are some kittlings cavorting in a carcass. I don't even know. It's like some kind of furry animal, and there's just ribs and meat and red blood, and the cats are just running around in it.
That cereal's kind of gross.
The cereal is kind of gross. But back with the master. The master throws this silver ball into this, like, there's like a little, I don't know, ring, like a little stage just out in the desert. He throws the silver ball, and Patterson is in that ring. He throws the ball, and all the cats, all the cheetahs jump around and are like pawing at him and playing with him, basically. They're not killing him, but they're roughhousing him a little bit.
Like our cats do with a bug.
The master is like, yeah, they're not like...
He says they're very playful.
But he controls them. I think he gives a whole explanation for the kittlings and everything.
It's not super important.
Yeah, he's tapped into them so that he can... Because he's got, like, hypnosis and all that shit, so that's how he's been using the kittens to see what's going on Earth and whatnot. But the doctor grabs the master's balls. His silver balls.
Why does it matter what color they are?
The silver ball that the master threw, he grabs 3 of them and starts juggling, trying to distract the cheetahs. And he throws the 3 balls away, but they don't chase them because they have better prey there. They have Patterson. So the doctor runs and jumps on a horse and grabs Patterson and says it'll be good exercise. And they ride off. And the cheetahs start to turn on the master, but the master's like, don't worry, I'll get you some more prey. And so they don't attack the master. Meanwhile, like, Midge and Shrila and Derek, Midge, they've all sort of, like, given up. They're like, there's no way this is all fucked and we're all gonna die. And Ace is like, I'm gonna sort you lot out. And then she's like, we gotta fight back. And they try to set up a trap for one of the cheetahs. They got this string across, they pull string between 2 trees. And the cheetah gets right up to it, sticks its paw out, and its, like, claws come out and cut it. And then just looks at Ace as it rides past. And they're like, well, I guess that won't work. Because it is weird, like, the cheetahs are only, like, aggressive sometimes.
I think, like, if it's fun or they're hungry, the whole kind of thing with them is, like, not to run.
Yeah.
Because they'll only really hunt you if you run. If your prey's up in a tree, you're like, that's not worth it. I'll wait until later when it's not up in a tree.
But then they set up some more traps, but instead of catching cheetahs, they hear the trap go off. Ace runs out with like a torch, screaming like, ah! She's going to hit the thing with a torch, but it turns out to be Patterson. And she's caught the doctor in the trap, and he's hanging upside down. And he's like, what did I tell you about playing with fire? And he's like, because he's upside down, he's holding his hat on his head. I think it's cute.
Every time I see a stunt like that, it stresses me out. Like, he can't be upside down for that long. How long was he upside down trying to get that take? It was too long.
So they go out, and they're looking out at the land, at the planet. And the doctor says that the planet is disintegrating. It's not doing well. We later learn...
it responds to their emotions, right?
Yeah, it responds to their violence. The more violent they are, the more the planet disintegrates. I don't think we get that information right at this scene, but we get it eventually, I think, from the Master.
I don't really know what that means or how it works, but okay.
I'm not sure either. So the Doctor and crew, is Patterson, Shrila, Midge, Derek, Ace, all of them, are walking through there's a bunch of cheetahs just hanging out, and they're very slowly walking through them. And there's just skeletons everywhere. And the Doctor's like, don't mess with them, and they won't mess with you. Just be very calm. And then a milkman arrives. Another Perryville person has been zapped to this planet, and he runs. And the Doctor's like, son of a bitch. And the cheetahs start chasing the milkman, and the Doctor's yelling, don't move, don't move. And Patterson's like, I'm not going to stand around here and be killed, and starts throwing rocks at him. And Midge joins him and starts throwing rocks at him. And then Ace starts throwing rocks at cheetahs. And the Doctor just keeps yelling, stay still! Stay still! And there's a great blooper where he just full on goes all out with the stay still. And he's yelling
throws his hat.
He says fuck too. I told you to fucking stay still. Throws his hat. He does a full dive into the dirt, which is very funny. But I can't help but see the cheetahs in the background, and I'm sure they're God damn it, we're gonna have to do this again.
Hot as hell in here, dude, and you're goofing around.
But while he's yelling "stay still," he also does a thing where he trips one of them with his umbrella. But Ace does conk one with a rock right in the head, and that will be important. The Master and a Kitling are just watching all of this from a hill, which is it's great. We see there's a shot from they're up on this cliffside, and all of them are running around fighting. And there's just in the foreground, this cat just watching it. We just see the back of a cat's head watching all of this chaos. And I'm like, this episode's great. And everybody's sort of separated now. And Ace sees that cheetah basically get off her horse and go to the water. There's a river between them, or a little stream, and pass out in the water. So Ace runs over to the cheetah and pulls the cheetah out of the water. The cheetah's eyes open and look at her. The cheetah, which I'm just going to say her name is Kara, starts playing with Ace's badge, specifically the one that she got in Curse of Fenric.
Yeah.
So that cat's a communist.
This serial's all about commie cats.
Okay, so Midge has been grabbed by one of the cheetahs, and that cheetah is going to kill him, but then another cheetah comes up and attacks the other cheetah. There's two cheetahs fighting, and then the cheetah knocks one of the cheetahs out and then runs off, and that cheetah that's been injured is just laying there, breathing heavily, and Midge pulls a big fucking, saber-toothed tiger tooth out of a skeleton and goes up and just stabs it right into the cheetah.
The injured one.
The injured one. Just straight up kills it. And takes its necklace. What a dick. Midge is a dick.
We don't like Midge.
I forgot to mention, there was a scene earlier where Midge was just straight up attacking Derek for no reason. Because he was like, fuck this guy, he's gonna get us killed. For no reason.
Well, it was all survival of the fittest, and you're not fit, and so we've got to abandon the weak so that the fit can survive. Blah.
Yeah, Midge is an idiot. Now he's killed a defenseless cheetah. The Doctor meets the Master. The Master says that the cat flap only goes one way. You can come here, but you can't go back. And he needs the Doctor's help to escape, or they'll turn into cats. And to prove that, he shows his fangs. There's a cat up on a wall, and it howls at the moon, and then the Master howls with it, And the doctor just turns away and walks off. Like, I don't know what's going on
Like,
here.
that was weird.
I don't want to be a part of this. And then we find out that the cheetahs can talk. Kara talks and asks for some water. Moon water. She wants some of that moon water.
Moon water.
Ace cups some water and it glows pink in her hand, and she gives it to Kara. And Kara's like, this will help fix me up. And the doctor shows up and warns Ace to, like, keep her distance. That these cheetahs are dangerously attractive.
I literally, the way that he says it, I'm trying to remember how the line went, that I was like, I made some joke about the fact that they could break your heart. And then the doctor calls them attractive, and I was like, oh shit, I'm right. This is what's happening. Let's go.
He says they're extremely dangerous creatures. They could eat you or...
break your heart.
Or what? Worse. What's worse? Let's just say they are dangerously attractive. He also says that the only way back, they take their prey back to their home. So they'd have to find one from Earth to get back to Earth. And the master is listening in on this. And he's like, okay, cool. I know what I need to do now. Meanwhile, Patterson has taken charge and leads Midge. They find Midge being all like, I'm a badass now because I got to kill. Patterson's like, yeah, boy, you're with me. And it's all about kill or be killed and no deadwood and survival of the fittest. And we're all men.
Oh, man.
But back at the thing with Ace and the doctor, Ace talking about like, actually, I think I like this planet. I feel connected to it. I feel like I could run forever. But doctor, I'm starving.
Because of the lesbian subtext, is this a planet that makes you gay?
I don't think it makes you gay. It just brings it out.
The gayness is there.
The gayness is there.
All right. It just amplifies it.
Yeah. So Midge tries to kill Derek again citing survival of the fittest, and the doctor tries to stop him. And then Midge gets pissed off, shows his fangs. He has fangs now, and he runs off. The master has set up a trap for Midge, though. He like pulls this like cord and grabs him by the feet, and then he puts Midge on a leash.
Mm-hmm.
The master has a Catboy now on a leash.
Straight up, yes. He has a domesticated Catboy.
And the master tells Midge to take them home, and they zap back to Earth. And then the doctor...
The scene later where they are back on Earth, and Midge is just like laying on the couch with this dumbest look on his face. And making cat sounds. I think even at some point he purrs.
Possibly, yeah.
It is what it is. It's the master and a Catboy. This is Doctor Who.
So, after they disappear, the doctor explains that to the rest of the group that the only way to get back is to wait for one of them to turn into a cat and zap back to Earth before that cat happens to kill anyone. This makes Patterson paranoid, and he runs off because he's like, "Oh, are you the Catboy? I'm a man." I hate Patterson. He's annoying. But then Kara shows up on a horse, and Ace is like, Kara's back. I'm so happy to see her. And she starts to run up to Kara, and the doctor's like, wait, Ace, what are you doing? Where are you going? And then she turns back around, and her eyes are cat eyes. And that's the end of episode 2.
Oh, boy.
Then that's when I was like, hey, Toni, you ready to watch the final episode? And you were like, what?
I was shocked.
When was the last time we had a 3-part finale?
Right.
Let alone a series finale. So now we're into episode 3, which I actually have 2 titles for. Dock Blocking or A Midge of Success.
What's like a smidge?
Yeah.
Is that a saying?
Yeah.
I don't feel like it is.
Then it's just dock blocking. How's that?
That's fine.
So then Ace runs off in slow motion with her cheetah girlfriend.
Nice.
Just happily, yeah, we're running. Woo!
I feel like Ace and her cheetah girlfriend on a horse is something that you would see airbrushed onto the side of a van.
Ace gets her own horse at some point from somewhere.
That planet just has horses.
You just go, hey, I need a horse. And one shows up with a fucking saddle and everything.
They are communist cheetahs. So the horses belong to everyone.
It all checks out. So, yes, there's the scene where Midge howling on a couch while the master talks to himself in the mirror about destroying the doctor if he goes full cat. Because he's like, he's turned full cat, but I haven't because I have a stronger will. But if I do go full cat, I'm just gonna go full animal and just murder the fuck out of the doctor.
I'm gonna murder the doctor so hard.
And he will be so hard the way he's talking about it.
Really just need to bang already.
I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have in plenty of fan fiction. I want to take a minute real quick and say, and this is something that's not news to anybody. Everyone in the world has said this. We're just the last ones to say this. Anthony Ainley is doing a great job in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that he's better than he's ever done before.
Yes.
Apparently, this is the way he's always wanted to play the master, but he's always been told to sort of be goofier, and he wanted to be more menacing. So, this is what happens when you get a good script, I guess. Good stuff. And then Kara and Ace have a chat. Like, Kara's like right up in her face, and their faces are almost touching. It looks great. And that's when Kara says that her name is Kara. Then she says that they are sisters, which made you feel uncomfortable.
Well, we went from a lesbian subtext to sisters. I don't want them to be sisters. I want them to be girlfriends.
I don't think it necessarily means like literal sisters. Like, we are kin. We are one.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
The sisterhood of queerness.
Yeah, there you go. That's sisterhood. Not in an incestual way. And she's just trying to tell Ace to hunt. And like Ace seems really into it. But then she sees her reflection and she starts to, like, in the water, and starts to like ask where the doctor is. And she's like, I need the doctor. But Kara continues to be like, come on, let's hunt. We're hunting. And they find a corpse of a horse or something. And Kara starts eating it. And Ace is like, you eat humans. You eat people. And she's like, yeah. And she's like, would you eat me? And she's like, how fast can you run? And Ace is like, fast enough. She's like, that would be a good hunt. Anyway, let's eat. And Ace is like, okay. She's about to join in on eating, but the doctor shows up. He tracked her down with his pocket watch that he was using as some kind of tracking device. I don't know. He was like running it over her footprints and like, where did you go to, Ace? Like, they're like, oh fuck, we don't have the sonic screwdriver. Right. It's just his pocket watch, I guess. But Ace is about to eat this animal, but the doctor shows up and talks her out of it. Takes some convincing. He's like, Ace, come back to me. Come home. And then she finally runs up to him and hugs him. And then they leave. While Kara continues to eat that horse, or whatever it was. The doctor tells Ace that she can take them back home to Perryville, but she might become a perma-cheetah.
A perma-cheetah?
Yeah, a permanent cheetah. A perma-cheetah. And he's like, so it's up to you if you want to take us back or not. You will run the risk of permanently becoming
a Catboy.
And she decides to do it. She takes everyone back to Perryville. She does not go full cat.
Problem solved.
Right? It does feel like it's in the episode. Patterson immediately is a dick and is like, nothing happened. I must have hit my head and you're all making a fuss and blah, blah, blah. And Ace says, thanks, Ace. Thanks, Doctor. Thanks for saving my life, getting me back home.
I like this joke.
Patterson's like, what? What do you mean? And then Derek says, thanks, Ace. Thanks, Doctor. Thanks for saving my life, getting me back home. And then runs off laughing. And then he's no longer in the story. Shrila's no longer in the story. Their plot is done. They're home. They're good. They're solid. And Ace is also like, our story's done. I really want to go home now. And by that, I mean the TARDIS.
Which is cute.
And the doctor's like, we can't. We got unfinished business. The master, Midge is from here. The master got Midge to take him home, which would be here. So the master's here somewhere with Midge. Ace knows where Midge lives, so they go to Midge's apartment. But the master and Midge are not there because they've presumably killed somebody at a garage and stolen a motorcycle.
This is also when Midge starts just repeating things that the master says.
Yes, Midge. Yes. Yeah, because he's under his control. But Ace and the doctor go to Midge's place. Ace makes fun of U2, the band, because she's like, "Oh, are these guys still around? They were old when I was still here." And the thing is, U2's still fucking kicking, because she's like looking through his records. And then the doctor finds a dead cat. This one is pretty gruesome. And then a small child named Squeak comes in. That's Midge's little sister. and she's like terrified, and she's
I would like to talk to their parents. Midge and Squeak?
I assume they're nicknames.
Alright.
She basically tells them, like, my brother went bad and killed this cat and killed my mom, or attacked my mom, and they left. This kid is apparently famous now.
Why?
She went on to be on basically a soap opera called like Emmerdale or something like that. But she's also like just a model now. She's been in like Maxim and For Him magazine and all this other sort of shit.
Okay.
But yeah, she's famous now. I don't know who she is. So, this is great. We go back to the youth club with the self-defense class. The door opens and there's Midge in a shiny fucking suit. Don't know where he got it. He's got sunglasses on. He looks like the 80s.
He does look like the 80s.
And he comes in and he's like talking to the self-defense class and he's like, I've learned the secret of success and I'm going to teach it to you. Which again feels very 80s.
It feels very now.
I mean, that's true too. It does feel like he's recruiting.
He went from Catboy to finance bro.
And the doctor's like, I don't know where to go now. I don't know where they're at. But then Ace sinks to her knees and her eyes go yellow. And she knows that the master is at the youth club. She's connected to the cats. So she can see through the master's eyes. Oh, shit.
What?
Do you think that's going to come back in the next episode of Doctor Who?
Oh!
We're going to have Ace and the master.
Maybe.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool.
I hope they do that. Sorry, I got distracted by something that might be exciting about the Chibnall era. Patterson returns to the club to do the, self-defense class, and he sees Midge and the Master, and the Master's like, I'll let you take care of him. And Midge just slowly walks up to Patterson, and we have no idea what he does to him, but we do know that he's dead.
Yep.
Because Ace and the doctor arrive and find his dead body. So they're like, well, we got to track him down. Ace, still in her cat eye state, leads the doctor to that hillside with the horse print. They find a motorcycle there. And the doctor's like, he set the time and the place and the means for their final confrontation. Midge pops up on the motorcycle over the hillside. And all of the, self-defense dude bros walk up over the hill as well. It's a very cool shot. And Ace tries to get on the motorcycle, and the doctor throws her off, and he's like, if you fight, if you become violent, you'll permanently become one of the cats. So he's like, I'll do it instead. And the doctor...
He throws her off of that thing.
He does. She does a full-on tumble. The doctor is on his motorcycle, Midge is on his motorcycle, and they rush at each other, and it looks amazing and cheesy and wonderful and beautiful. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen on Doctor Who.
It is all of those things. 100% agree. And then...
That they crash into each other.
Crash into each other and explode. It's rad as hell.
Midge is burnt. Looks pretty mildly burnt. He just has some dirt on his face. They were supposed to do makeup where he was melting.
Ooh.
And that's because the master's like, you're survival of the fittest, you're weak, you know what you need to do, and then he dies. But as it plays, he looks basically fine, but he was supposed to be melting. And then they're like, we're losing daylight, we do not have time to put you in makeup, so... And they just rub some dirt on his face. Yeah, just do some acting. And also, something that got cut out, the self-defense dude bros were supposed to rip his body apart.
Oh, is that why they were there?
Yeah, and then they start coming towards Ace and being menacing, and Ace is freaking out. That's because she was supposed to have seen them rip his body apart.
Jesus Christ, why was this episode so hardcore?
Oh, there's another deleted thing that was hardcore. We'll get there in a second. The self-defense bros start coming for Ace. She's like, I'm not gonna fight. Also, she's picked up the doctor's hat and his umbrella, and is like holding them to herself because she thinks he's dead. It's very sad. But she's like, I'm not going to fight. Just like, somebody help. And then, zap. Kara appears on a horse and chases them all off and goes up to the master. The master's like, tells her to get off the horse. And he's like, you have no power here. I control you, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing you can do to me. And she turns into Batman. Do you bleed? If you bleed, there's something I can do to you. And she goes to attack him, and the master stabs her with that big tooth, that saber-tooth tooth. And then
girlfriend.
And then the master leaves, passing by the doctor, who has landed in just a random pile of trash. There's like a sofa and some trash bags. and the doctor's butt's just sticking up in the air. And literally the master, like, points at him, laughs, and runs off.
You fell in trash, loser.
Ace goes up to Kara and rolls her over, and she's human now. And she says... Is
that so that you can tell that they're lesbians? Is that...
I guess. She's like, she's going to run off into the dark, and then she says, good hunting, sister, and dies. What like, a cheetah shows up on a horse and comes and picks the body up and goes back to the cheetah planet with her? Presumably. What was originally supposed to happen was that Ace was supposed to take the body to the, like, on fire, exploded motorcycles and burn her body, cremate her in the fire, which is rad and also very in character for Ace.
It is very in character.
She's a bit of a pyro.
That is what she does with her problems.
Right, exactly. It would have been like an interesting callback to Ghostlight. Because she burnt down that house, right? Anyway, they're like, that's too much, and cut it out. Cowards! But the doctor chases the master down. The master's trying to break into the TARDIS. The doctor catches him. And then the master grabs him and transports him back to the cheetah planet. And they're just rolling around on the ground fighting. The master tries to hit him with like a skeleton bone. The doctor rolls him over and got the master pinned down. And he picks up a skull. And he's going to lift it up and bash him over the head with it.
Which is a crazy callback for the last episode of Doctor Who.
Back to the first serial.
Back to the first serial of Doctor Who.
Where the doctor almost brained a guy with a rock.
Nice.
Cave of Skulls.
Nice symmetry.
And when he does that, the doctor's eyes are cat eyes. And, like, the planet's, like, full-on fucked up right now. Like, there's volcanoes going off, there's lava flowing, and he's about to smash the master when he sees these cheetahs coming toward him, and they all just disappear, because violence is destroying everything. And he screams out, if we fight like monsters... No, if we fight like animals, we'll die like animals. So we can't do it. He's like, we should stop, and the master's like, fuck you! And he, like, goes to hit him, kill him, but, like, the doctor zaps back to Perryville. As he screams again, if we fight like animals, we'll die like animals. Very, very over the top, but it's great. And then Jackie Tyler comes out.
100%. There's no one else it could be. There's no way that's not who this character is.
She comes out and is like, you hear that racket? I'm getting tired of all these damn cats just screeching. You know what the real problem is? It's the owners. And the doctor's like, we do what we can. And she's like, yeah, I bet. But it's 100% Jackie Tyler. Looks like her, talks like her. If we don't know who Jackie Tyler is, we'll get there.
Keep listening.
Just a few episodes time.
It is a wild coincidence.
Yeah, because why is that scene there?
It feels like it's introducing this character. I mean, it's not like the same actress or anything. It just feels like
her. Yeah. Ace sees the cheetah take the other cheetah away, and she puts the doctor's hat on and sinks to her knees again. And then the doctor walks up behind her and says, "That's mine, I believe," and flips the hat back onto his head. Does that little roll that he does. Ace smiles. And then they're like, well, let's go back home. And he's like, home? And she's like, the TARDIS. And so they head off. And then
okay, this is the first time that I've really thought about this, but, like, the Doctor has had a lot of companions, like, when they exit, they always talk about wanting to go back home. And I think Ace is one of the first ones to ever say the TARDIS is home. And, like, ending on that is very sweet.
It is. You know what I do think would have made this maybe a smidge more interesting?
A midge?
A midge more interesting? If Ace met her mom.
Yeah.
I didn't, think about it while we were watching it. They talked about her mom a couple of times, but it never, I feel like that could have been dramatically interesting to actually meet Ace's mom and have, specifically, Ace be like, I'm going home, and by home, I mean the TARDIS, after meeting her mom, dealing with her mom. But they start walking off. And then Andrew Cartmel wrote some lines that Sylvester McCoy recorded on the 26th anniversary of Doctor Who, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. They didn't realize it at the time.
Wow.
But he says, there are worlds out there where the sky is burning, where the seas asleep and the rivers dream. People made of smoke and cities made of song. Somewhere there's danger, somewhere there's injustice, and somewhere else the tea's getting cold. Come on, Ace. We've got work to do. That is the end of Doctor Who.
It's not bad cards.
No, it's good. I think we have it on a poster somewhere. And that's the end of Survival and the end of Doctor Who for now. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back for final thoughts.
Hey, Dad, what's the Soul Forge podcast?
The Soul Forge podcast is all about life, the universe, and everything.
Is it good for kids?
Oh no, it's not good for kids.
Is it geeky?
Oh, it can be geeky, but it can also be serious. We talk about life, sex, dating, and mental health, and so much more.
Where can you find a Soul Forge podcast?
You can find it everywhere. iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, and the ESO Network.
And we're back. Tony, do you know what time it is? You know what? This might be the last time we do this.
It actually might be?
Because I think we're going to change the format.
What time is it?
It's 9:02 p.m.
Yeah, but what time is it in the podcast?
Cat time!
Cat time!
Cursive Fenric was almost called Wolf time.
Wolf time, baby!
This one can be cat time.
Cat time, baby!
Yeah. And then you had ghost time? And what was the other one?
What
was
We'll
Battlefield?
do a time season.
What would Battlefield be?
Fight time.
Brig time. Anyway, it's time for...
It's time for final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
You want to go first? Or you want me to go first? Do you want to alternate sentences?
Can we just talk about it together as a team?
Sure.
What did you think?
I liked it a lot. I thought it was really good, really fun. I mean, I feel like it doesn't quite feel like a finale, but it also feels like a finale.
I do think that those, like, the final monologue they give the Doctor is pretty great for what it is, which is dubbed in after figuring out that it was going to be the last episode. But the fact that they were able to do that, to give it some note of, like, finality, is pretty good. But yeah, I don't know about, like, structure-wise of it feeling like even like a finale, not like a like a series, not finale, but like a season finale.
It does feel like the culmination of Ace's arc a little bit, because she does return to Berryvale.
That's true.
But it does almost feels less like the finale and more like the beginning of the next thing, is almost what it feels like.
It is nice, though, for the show to end on something that does feel like that. I think you said it when we were watching it, that it's very much an Angel ending.
I mean, yeah, literally Angel ends with him saying basically the same thing, because the Doctor says, "Come on, Ace, we've got work to do," and Angel ends with, "Let's go to work."
It does feel more like a beginning, and it has that kind of openness.
And not in like a cliffhanger way either.
Right.
Just as like, we keep on going.
I know one of the things that Christine has said when we watched this with her is that she's like, it's weird how much this rolls right into 9. How much it feels like the exact same show. I mean, you know, that character feels very much like Jackie Tyler. The effects seem to be about at the same level. Like,
I mean, even the fact that, like, they mentioned that, like, Ace's mom put up the missing person posters is something that happens with Rose.
Right.
Because the Doctor brought her back, like, what, a year late or something? It feels very similar. I think this is the best performance by Anthony Ainley as the Master. I love the cats. I love all the cats. Cats and cheetahs both. I know that's not what she wanted, but they look cool. They look rad. I also think this episode is incredibly well shot. It has some amazing camera work. Cinematography!
Okay.
The cinematography, Tony.
It's not cinema.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
What is it then? Televisionography?
Telematography.
Telematography. Tell them about that tography, Tony. I'm glad we got to do this serial and talk with these two cats fighting between us. It seems appropriate.
It does seem appropriate.
How does it feel that it's over?
I was going to ask you that, because you have a lot more neuroses around starting things.
Oh, do I?
Starting things from the beginning and completing things.
Okay, like, you have your own neuroses, but we'll get there. I mean,
different things, sure.
I feel it does feel like I've completed the thing, which is great. But it also feels sad.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. There's plenty of expanded shit I could dive into, and will. There's the novels, there's the audios, etc. But it does suck. This season was great.
This season was great. Also, it's weird. Like, this has been part of our relationship for literally as long as we've been married.
7 years.
Yeah.
That's true. Now what? We gotta...
Now we're done.
Oh, we're divorced now. But yeah, it felt good, but also sad. But okay, so you say I have a thing. You don't finish things on purpose.
Yeah, so that they never end.
You, read all but the last chapter of Carrie.
So it would have a happy ending, where Carrie destroys all of her enemies who fucking deserve it.
Did you at least get to the part where she killed her mom?
Yeah.
Okay.
I stopped after that. I don't think she should have to face any consequences.
Well, then you should watch the TV movie, because that version she lives. Spoilers! You were talking about not watching this serial.
Yeah, because then this thing that we've been working on together for 7 years wouldn't just be over.
Yeah.
And done.
That's why we gotta do New Who.
I'm getting, choked up. I'm getting, sad.
Aw. Yeah, it's the biggest thing we've ever done together.
Yeah. But now it's over, though.
It's not over. We've still got work to do. Okay, but you liked this episode. If you didn't watch it, you would have missed out on all the cats. And the master with a Catboy.
Yeah.
And Jackie Tyler.
That's true. I would have missed out on stuff.
So if you had to do it again, would you watch it or would you not watch it?
I guess I'd still watch it.
Cool. I think that's it. I got nothing else to say. You got anything else
I
to say?
don't know. I feel like we should be doing something more, monumental.
Well, we still got episodes to come. Before we even take a break from Doctor Who, we got 3 more episodes.
Okay.
Next up, we're doing our look back at the 7th Doctor. Then we're going to do a look back at all of Doctor Who. We're going to talk about all of Classic Who. And when we do that, we're also going to watch Dimensions in Time, the weird soap opera crossover. And then after that, we're doing the TV movie. So
I feel like I should have something pompous to say.
some sort of emotionally resonant thing. Yeah.
But I don't. We watched a lot of TV together. You and me and all of you.
Started off, we watched this in our old apartment. Not our old apartment, our old apartment.
On the third floor.
On the 3rd floor. We recorded these on the floor. We were on our bedroom floor. And
on your Zoom.
On my Zoom recorder. We didn't have microphones. I don't know how long it took us to get microphones.
Too long. And it took us too long to get the nice ones we have now. We had just a snowball in between the two of us.
And now we have 2 blue microphones, our own microphones. We're in our own house. We own this house. We have 2 wonderful kittens. We've come a long way, but we did it. We did it. We watched. You know what really undercuts it? I track this stuff on my TV tracking app, and there's so many people having the same feelings we're having right now of I did it. I watched the whole thing, and it took me 2 years.
Well, we had to talk about it for 3 hours every fucking time.
That's true. Our next episode is going to be the 7th Doctor look back. And we're going to rank the episodes, rank the companions, which there are 2. Guess how that's going to go.
It's a mystery.
I might talk about Search Out Space. You didn't watch the whole thing. I did. It's the next thing that starred the 7th Doctor.
Oh.
You watched half of it. It's very dumb, but I might talk about that in the next episode. And then the episode after that is going to be our look back at all of Doctor Who. We're just going to do a general retrospective and also talk about Dimensions in Time, which is a charity special crossover between Doctor Who and the soap opera EastEnders. Which is a 2-part episode. And then after that, we're going to do the TV movie where we're going to try to have as many guests as want to come back. We're going to probably do a drinking game or something. And I think that live stream, that's going to be our next live stream. We're not going to live stream Dimensions in Time, though we'll put up our us watching it. It's not going to be, I don't think we're going to do a live stream for that one. But we will do a live stream for the Doctor Who movie, and that one might be public. Sort of a last hurrah. And then after that, we're going on hiatus. We're going to take a break.
Joe needs to catch up on some sleep, y'all.
I do. And then we're going to come back with some special bonus episodes. We're going to do some bonus pilots. I'm not going to tell you what those are. I want to leave you in suspense. I will tell you about them when we do our full Doctor Who wrap-up. I'll tell you more what we're doing then. If you liked this episode of the podcast, you can check out more on watcharassilon.com. You can also find our podcast, our Patreon, and more at linktree/watchathon. That's linktr.ee/watchathon. And I want to say, again, possibly for the last time, well, no, there'll be one more time, but special thanks to Matt Golden for sponsoring this episode.
Hey, thanks, Matt.
Golden! Check Matt out at mattgolden.xyz. And thanks again to Vincent E.L. for providing us with our amazing theme song.
Thank you, Vince. Are we going to keep our theme song?
Yeah, we're going to keep our theme song.
Okay. I'm just checking. I don't know.
It's still relevant. You can check out more of Vince's music at vincentel.bandcamp.com. And tune in next time when we take a look back at the Seventh Doctor. Until then, keep calm and wrestle on.
Goodbye, and I love you in a platonic, parasocial way.
Come on, Toni. We got work to do. Really, it's just me. I gotta edit this motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm taking a nap.
There are worlds out there where the sky's burning, where the sea's asleep and the rivers dream. People made of smoke and cities made of song. Some of there's danger, some of there's injustice, and somewhere else the tea's getting cold. Come on, Ace. We've got work to do.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.